problems, are you? You both got the same IQ. Very funny.
One of my favorite movies. And just to start this video off, hello my fellow car modelers, and just want to say we lost Bert yesterday, and he was one of my heroes. And again, like I've said, and I've said it in the past on a couple other videos, one of my favorite movies to watch. Yep, well, later Bandit, thanks a lot. How many of you guys out there are fans of the old Hal Needham, Burt Reynolds movies? You all probably can figure that I get a lot of inspiration from those movies, watching them since I was a kid. That the whole thing at the end with the bloopers that they did on those movies, that's where I got my idea to do my bloopers at the end of my videos. And you know, just my little tip of the hat to those guys. Just want to do a little honoring to old Bert here. So on to the video. So this is what I'm doing today. So as you guys can see, I have been working on the Malibu flip nose engine and getting ready to wrap up filming for the next episode of An Adventure in Building a Model Car. And I promised you that my next episode was going to be the next part of the engine detail on that, but I am going to have to go back on my word. I'm not bringing you that episode yet, only because this is out of a request that I read on Mediocre Modelers last night. Richard Lopez posted a picture of the Roadkill NASCAR Charger that they did. I don't know if any of you guys are Roadkill fans. If you watch one of the more recent episodes of Roadkill, they found an old stock car from the late 60s, early 70s. It was a Charger, and they got it running, and they made it street legal and all that, but it's an old race car, and it had these really beat looking, really cool flares. Richard wants to replicate that car in model form like we all like to do. And me being the guy who just wants to help you guys out, Joe May suggested, hey, ask Luka or watch his videos. And so I got on there and say, you know what? Been there, done that. I got a great technique. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to help you guys out. I'm going to help you out, Richard, getting this video out there for you guys to see how I always would make some simple little flares, not have to be really perfect. It's kind of a beat old car, and I got the perfect technique to get the look. That's what we're going to do today on Model Car Hobby Headquarters. Oh boy, kiddies, are we going to have some fun, because we've got plastic. We've got some fire. Oh yeah, we've got fire. So I'm going to first say, I'm putting out a warning here because we're dealing with hot plastic and fire. You guys be careful doing this, and nobody under 18 do this. There. Hopefully I'm okay and I don't get sued. This is under your own discretion. This is my technique of how I made some flares. Hopefully this helps you out, and please do not hurt yourself. Be really, really careful doing this. With that being said, we're going to move on to getting going on this. But first I'm going to show you a couple examples I've done over the years. Here's one in kind of a raw form, but you can see I was wanting to flare this out. So I basically heated up the plastic and just started working it out. You can see it's kind of rough. The plan is to kind of smooth it all out, but it will naturally come out really lumpy and all that stuff. And what we're going to talk about doing is replicating the flares on this car. Right there shows you can get that kind of rough look right there and be done. But if you get it all set like that and get the shape that you want, you can go in and you look on this car, this little short track baby here I was doing, is you can see this is all plastic. And I'll also show you how to make it look like it's all thin sheet metal later on. But this was all plastic that was heated up and formed. You can get a good look there of how that fender flare is. That's one that after I got it all shaped and it looked really wiggly and like melted plastic like this one here, I sanded it down and got it to look the proper shape. Same on that side. We got ourselves a pretty beat up looking car here. But that was the look I was going for. So let's let's see what we can do here. So I've got my sacrificial body right here. You've seen this one in the past. This is the AMT Roadrunner that I used to cut out the back on my past video about cutting out deck lids and stuff. To start off, what originally gave me this idea years and years ago was I was watching a video, a guy at Banjo Matthew's shop back in the late 70s, and he was needing to flare the fenders, and he was just basically heating up the metal and tapping it out. I thought, why the heck can't you do that with plastic? I took a body, I heated it up a little bit, I pushed it out, and eventually got a nice flare. I always am this thing, if it works on real cars, it'll work on model cars. So that's where we went with that. We're going to go ahead and use this spoon right here to push out the rollout of the fender flare. But we've got to carefully heat up, and I got my trusty Mustang lighter here. It's usually better to have an adjustable Bic. I don't have one right now, but I've been doing this a while, so if you can get the setting down real low, it's a lot better. But you just got to know when to apply the heat, when to get it off, so you don't go too far and then melt the plastic way too far. So let's see if I can mess this up. You want to not have any modifications to your fenders whatsoever. So we're going to do this front fender here, with the intent that when we get the flare all done, you're probably going to grind it out and then knife edge it to make it look like the sheet metal that it is. So what we want to do is we want to bulge this area. This is roughly the size tire that we're going to put up into this car. So we're going to kind of just use that as an idea of how much of a bubble flare we want. And you know, you could use it and you could trace this out. I'm going to run this tire right about there. And I'm going to go ahead and just put a mark. See what we got? This area here, this is what we want to bulge out. Might even go a little bit higher. And again, we're wanting this to look like banged out sheet metal in a little Saturday night short track car. So we're not going to worry too much about being totally perfect. And what's a nice thing about keeping the thick plastic and not grinding it out first is we got a lot of plastic to work with and shape and sand and get it to look good. So I flip it upside down, and this gets a little tricky. Look at that flame I got. Wow. Because you don't want to, you know what, it's also going to get really tricky. I'm going to remove this right here real quick. I got rid of that because I might need to get up into here and kind of do a little trick like that and get into there. It's kind of a tough area to get, and you also don't want to mess up any of the other plastic. You want to get that heat to stay localized, and this is where it gets really tricky, where you don't want to overdo it. So it's a whole lot of, and it's tough when you got a big flame like this. So I just want to get this kind of heated up, and you start pressing and rolling and rolling and rolling. Now this is going to take some time because you don't want to do it all at once, but you can see right there I've already started getting it to come out. Just get up in there and just get it, the plastic warmed up, not too far. You can see it starting to get pliable, and you can press and roll and press, and you can see we're starting to get a flare going here. Now another thing you got to be real careful, and why I keep this upside down, because the flame goes upwards, is we don't want any heat down here, because if this gets all heated up and other areas of the body get heated up, and that's why we just do it a little bit at a time, you're going to start warping this body, and your nose is going to droop or get all out of whack, and it's going to mess things up. And then you don't want this edge to get all warped and messed up. Then you're going to have to do extra body work over here, and you're going to start losing the shape of the car that you don't want affected. You just want this area that we drew the lines in to be the modified area. So but you can see we're getting there. I just flow it through. I'm kind of taking it pretty far there, and you got to be fast. You can see, you get in there, you can, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but you can see the plastic moving, and we're getting a flare. Look at that, we're bulging it out, it's coming. See it, just keep rolling it out like that, rolling it out. That's how we get that. You see, we're starting to develop that flare. The lip here is kind of pooching out. That's something you can always sand and grind and get it to shape. Don't worry so much about that. That's why I always say leave yourself all of the meat and don't grind the fender out first, because this is all going to go away anyways. What we want is this to be bulged up. Now I'm going to try another little trick that I also do, and I'm going to go ahead and use this monogram NASCAR tire too. This spoon is kind of, it's a bit big. If this was just a little bit more rounded, it's just a little bit too not aggressive enough of a rounded surface. So I'm going to go ahead and try to use this for pushing the plastic out. So we're going to get this really heated up. So we are, I hope my fingers aren't in the way, but we're getting that going. It's really, sometimes what you'll see, oh, see I went used the wrong thing. You got to be ready to go. But you see how the tire really does a good job? That's really the route to go. And you can kind of hit, you know, when it starts to cool down, it doesn't really burn you too bad if you can handle the heat. You can kind of push the lip down a little bit. You see what we got there? We got ourselves a flare. Look at that. Now there's a flare. That's a pretty nice flare. And you know what? I think I'm going to stick with my old tool that I always use. This seems to work better than the spoon. The spoon, forget about the spoon. Use one of these tires. What's nice about these monogram NASCAR tires, it's pliable, but it's the shape that you're looking for, and because they're such a thick, dense, rubberized plastic, that they hold their shape really good, you know, and they don't get affected by the heat. So there you go. There's your fender flare. I might even put a little bit more. Look at how nice and perfectly, how that just turned out really nice using that tire. It just made the perfect shape that we're looking for. I want to get the flare a little bit higher up the fender. This is where it gets really tough, because I don't want, and I can feel a little bit of change in the plastic right there. I get really nervous about heating that up and ruining that part. This is where this gets really tricky. I'm going to try to put some heat onto this. And sometimes you can watch the plastic starts to look, you can see it get kind of wiggly and looking, see, push that through up in there. It starts to get kind of a shiny, like liquidy. It's starting to turn to liquid basically. So it gets kind of a shiny, glossy look to it, and watery almost. I don't know, you know, like it's turning into liquid form. And there we go. And that's when you know that you got to stop the heat at that point, because it's going to start warping. I even went a little bit too far. You can see the discoloration here. But I got up a little higher with the flare, and there we go. We've got ourselves a really, really super good looking flare to work with. Now remember, we're not so worried about this edge. We're going to make that look a lot better. I'm going to try to bring that flare a little bit more. Let's see. This is kind of tricky, but let's get some heat over here and move that flare. See that? How much that plastic gets moved? And I can get that tire up in there. And so what we're starting to get here with this flare and it not being so perfect is a little kind of wiggly. It's a look that we're trying to go for the sake of what Richard Lopez is doing, the car that he's replicating. He wants that to just look like pounded out sheet metal. And if you're looking for that look, then you can leave it where it's kind of, and there's more you can do to even make the sheet metal look worse. So right now, I'm not going to worry about prettying that up, because we want it to look like banged out sheet metal like what Richard's doing. We want to kind of start now shaping the whole arch of the wheel well. Now the tool that I like to use in this case is my Dremel tool. I got my trusty Dremel I've had for years and years and years. Still works, it's amazing. It's as much as I just abuse it. But I like the variable speeds. And I'll use this sanding barrel type bit. This is probably what I use this tool for the most, is doing stuff like this. So I'll go ahead and I'll start shaping this thing. See, we got that shape going there. I'm going to open up this wheel well a little bit and get rid of that kind of burnt edge off of the Fender flare. There, look at that. See? Got a good shape there. We've got a good flare. It's not perfect because we're wanting it to look, again, banged out. And you can even go in and do more things to, like, sometimes you can take your Dremel and hit it here and hit it there and kind of make it look dented up and stuff. If you like to do that, or if you've got plenty of plastic here, you can really kind of take that and shape it if you want it to be nice and smooth. I'm going to do a little more grind into it. Kind of get up in there. I'm going to take a little more material off, get this thing a little more rounded looking for tire clearance. Now the next thing that you want to do with your Dremel is what you've heard me mention before. Now that we got a nice flare here, is we want to knife edge this. And knife edging is, like you can see, I did it here on the inside of this when I was just making not a flare, just wanted it to look like sheet metal. As you can see, it gives the illusion of it being thin sheet metal instead of the thick plastic that the Fender usually look really thick like that. And you get up in there and you go at an angle and you've got to really watch it. If you sit there and you take material off, just bringing the edge of the plastic to a sharp point, and that helps give the illusion that your body is just thin sheet metal when you look at it through the opening of the wheel well. And it just takes some practice. I would suggest doing something like this on a junk body, like what I'm doing. But you just want to be very light. Don't put any pressure on there. Just let the tool do its job. And there we go. Now I'll take a little sandpaper and get in there and knock this all down. Get up in there and just get all the roughness out. You can get in there and really finish it up and get the roughness gone. Just go all the way around that edge. And look at that. We've got ourselves a beautiful flare. This one's kind of semi-wrinkly. You know, like I said, I don't want to go any farther with it. If I want to get that banged out sheet metal look, you can let the plastic naturally do that. It's not perfect. It's a little wobbly. This arch right here, or the flaring right here, if you can see, it kind of goes up a little bit too high there. It's okay. If you don't like it and you want it to be perfect, you got a lot of plastic here to work with. But you can see it's not perfect, which is the look we're going for. Alright, I just shot some primer on there. Just a little bit. You can still see some of that red ink coming through the primer, so I hope it doesn't ruin the look. But before the primer dries, it's still kind of shiny. You can kind of see how it's not really perfect. And again, you can sand that up, you can ding it up. You can take your X-Acto knife and put little cut little notches here and there just sporadically all over it. And then get in there with a little bit of really light sandpaper and kind of sand over those notches, and that'll kind of, smooth out the knife cut edges, and it'll look more like dings and dents. And you can do a lot of things with that, but look at that. You can really get the look. And let's do a little mock-up here. Let's see what it looks like with a nice treaded tire in there, the wheel. And now that's a good look, huh? That's a good stock car racing look. Blum, 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 blum. Yeah, that thing looks like it's ready to hit the track on a Saturday night in the 70s. And there is your Fender flare. Easy as that. But remember, safety first, kids. Always safety first. Look for a Bic lighter, any type of disposable lighter that has the adjustable little lever here so you can get the flame down, because you can control it a lot better. And when you have the smaller flame, it's a little easier to get up in there without wrecking the rest of the body. This is what I had laying around. Boom. That's pretty neat. There's your Fender flare. There you go, a Fender flare. Well, I sure hope that helped out. I'm glad to be there for you guys. Joe, thanks for mentioning me on the Mediocre Modelers. You guys want to join Mediocre Modelers? If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, down in the description below, we got a link to that. It's a great board that Andy from Andy's Hobby Headquarters started. There's just tons of model builders of all sorts on there. I can't even remember. We're up to 8,000. I don't know. There's tons of people. And we also got my little group going, and you guys keep asking to join, so I keep on having you guys join. Keep on joining. Put pictures of your model cars there on Model Car Hobby Headquarters group. Link in the description below. I've got the link to my Teespring account down there for my shirts and stuff. This is me, Luka Cee. Keep on gluing those fingers together. Keep on cutting that styrene. And we'll see you in the next video. On that, but I'm an idiot and wasn't prepared. So I gotta look this up. Sorry. Yeah, jeez, I tell you, I'm getting old. Turning 52 in a couple weeks. That geez, did I call it a message? I'm so old school. I keep going on about message boards. Mediocre Modelers Facebook group. There, I fixed that. So you know, whatever. Fix that in editing. They hold their shape good. Oh come on. Bam. See, I want to say some names here. I'm dropping names.